other in the middle of the street. What did my parents and the other non-wolf shifters have to say? Skylar asked bitterly. Kaylee said that you never raised your voice, and you walked away when her talking turned to shouting. Everyone else said they didn't know who started what, they just remembered shouting. I was going to the store with my mother. It's only a few blocks from the house, and it was bright and sunny, a little chilly. We decided to walk. We cut through the rally and street fair because my mom wanted to take a quick look at it all. She stopped at a booth selling soap. Maya saw me, and as she always does, started quizzing me on what I was doing, how I was behaving, if I'd hurt anyone, and so on. I told her to leave me alone, that I was none of her business anymore, and if I wanted to live alone in the woods, it was no concern of hers. That just got her going. I tried to tell her to stop, to calm down, but she started shouting. I walked away. My mom and I went to the store, and that was that. I drove back here yesterday and woke up at about 3 a.m., when I heard Hansel and Gretel crying. Micah looked ready to strangle him, her face going red, held back only by her husband's firm grip. You little monster! Their names aren't Hansel and Gretel! What are you trying to imply, you nasty little cottonmouth? That's enough, Brady barked, getting up to stand in front of Skylar. One more insult comes out of your mouth and... Brady, Angela said, quietly but with force. He glared, but with a huff finally sat down again. Turning to Micah, she said, You will watch what you say. One more outburst and I will throw you out of the house. Am I clear? Micah's mouth flattened. Am I clear? Angela demanded. Yes, ma'am, Micah said indignantly. I want my children. Brady bristled, leaning forward, one heavy hand falling on Skylar's knee. It was sort of sweet, and so very wolf, the way he hovered and barked as though Skylar needed protecting, though at that, it was probably more the pups, and it would go better for everyone if it was a wolf who wound up in a fight. If they thought that meant the snake would not strike, however. He covered Brady's hand with his own and met Micah's glare. I want to know why they growl when you get close. I'm not letting anyone have them until I know they're safe. You'll keep my children hostage because They were abandoned on my property, Skylar hissed. Abandoned, no longer wanted. I will not give them away until I am confident it is to someone who loves them. Micah looked ready to lose her temper again, but at a look from Angela, get back whatever she wanted to say. Everyone calm down, Angela said. Maya, tell me again what happened at that rally. Did it happen as you say, or more as Skylar relates? Maya said nothing, only shook her head and scowled. Now, Angela snarled, eyes turning wolf for a moment. Skylar's eyes widened as every wolf in the room recoiled, bowing their heads and turning to bare their throats. I will not ask again, Maya. Though she looked even more furious than her sister, Maya subsided. Angela let her arms fall to her side, but the wolf eyes remained as she regarded all of them. She was incredible and terrifying. One more moment of disobedience and I will start leveling fines and locking people up. I have been trusted to resolve this matter, and I will do so. You say the confrontation with Skylar did not occur as you first told me back in town. That being the case, I fail to see motive. Why would he have gone out of his way to kidnap your nephews after a confrontation he walked away from? Everyone knows he's a feral snake who never adapted well to being civilized, Micah spat. Just look how he came to live out here in the middle of nowhere. Just because he doesn't scream back at my sister doesn't mean he wasn't plotting revenge. So why would he take your kids? Brady demanded. We all know this is bogus. My guess, that Maya kidnapped them. I was on a plane, Maya snarled. I was supposed to drive home, but I got a call that several members of our pack fell sick, so I took a flight to get home sooner. I'd just gotten home when my baby sister called me to say that some bastard stole her children. Brady bared his teeth, but didn't push it further, only looked at his mother. That alibi checks out, though we never had to think of it as an alibi until now, she said, sighing and pinching at the bridge of her nose. I do not understand, and there's not enough information to go on here to determine who did what. Then I am taking my children back. Micah snarled and shoved her husband out of the way to stride across the room. She grabbed Hansel and shrieked when the pup sank his teeth into her hand hard enough to draw blood. Skylar snatched him close and stood up, holding Hansel and Gretel tightly to his chest as he backed away from her. Why would your own children attack you? They're scared. They don't know what they're doing, Micah snapped. They're scared of you, Skylar replied. Fuck you, Snake! Micah lunged at him, snarling, growling, knocking him and the puppies to the ground. The puppies yelped and rolled away. Skylar hissed at her, furious. He grunted as she struck him in the face, but managed to grab one wrist, then the other, then surged up and sank his fangs deep into her neck, pumping venom into her veins. She froze, stunned, and he retracted his fangs, shoved her off, and rolled to his knees. Crying and barking, Hansel and Gretel ran to him and tried to climb up his chest. I won't let you hurt them, he said. They're just babies. You don't get to use them or harm them. If you try again, I'll kill you. He didn't realize he was shaking until Brady's arm wrapped around his shoulders, pulling him close. Skylar breathed in his scent, already so familiar. Let Brady's scent and his warmth soothe him and the pups. It's okay, Brady murmured. He's fucking poisoned her. How? Harvey said. Snakes don't retain. Some do, Skylar heard his mom say coldly. My sister retains her fangs and venom in a shifted form. So does Sky. I've never seen him use them before, though, even when some kids bullied him badly. They broke his arm and he still didn't try to hurt them. Stop fretting. Cottonmouth venom isn't typically fatal for humans, let alone shifters. I have an anti-venom. Skylar stood up, ignoring all of them in favor of carrying the puppies to his bedroom at the back of the cabin. He climbed into his bed, lay down on his side, and settled them against him, half burying his face in the pillow. The door closed a moment later, and he looked up, expecting to see his mother or father. He was relieved and anxious when it proved to be Brady. He started to sit up again, but Brady rested a hand on his shoulder and sat on the very edge of the bed. Gretel wiggled away from Hansel and Skylar to nudge against Brady. Laughing softly, Brady scooped him up and nuzzled him. You take after Mommy Sky, Jumping in teeth first when someone asks for a fight? Good boy. Don't encourage him, Skylar muttered. He's feisty enough. Hansel shows a lot more common sense. Brady laughed and settled Gretel back with Hansel, petting them both. I think they both show a lot of sense sticking with you, Mom. Skylar flushed at the words, hating the way his stomach twisted because he wished they were true. He loved being a son, but he would love being a parent more. It wasn't the sort of dream that would ever happen, even if he went through the Lost Shifter Foundation. Not with his record. Fit to live on his own? Certainly. To be trusted with children? Not likely, even if the rules were stupid, outdated, and arbitrary. What do you think is going to happen to them? My mom would never let anything bad happen, Brady replied. It's pretty clear there's something funky with the mom, possibly the dad too, though he's been pretty quiet. She'll probably bring the pups into our pack until a good family can be found for them, assuming the worst is that their parents can't be trusted. Brady sighed. I just don't get why their parents would do this. Hansel and Gretel, Skylar murmured. Abandoned in the woods because they were in the mother's way and the father was too weak to stand up to her. At least, that's how it seemed in the version I read. There was one version where the father saved them, but it seemed fake. Brady nodded. My old book of fairy tales and nursery rhymes had that version. I always thought it was the stepmother who ordered them abandoned. A mother's a mother? Yeah, true enough, Brady said with a smile, petting the puppies again before reaching up and carding his fingers gently through Skylar's hair. So what would you like me to fix you when you come over for dinner? Probably not this weekend, but maybe next. Everything will have quieted down by then. Schuyler smiled faintly. He'd forgotten that they had a date. It was not something he would have expected to come from this mess. "I'll eat anything you put in front of me." Laughing, Brady said, "All right, I think I know what I'll do. I'll warn you to come prepared to eat a lot, but I think you'll do that anyway. How about dessert? You have a favorite?" "Mocha cake. The bakery close to my parents' house makes it. They put espresso in the frosting. My mom used to kill them for giving me such big pieces of it." "I can imagine you as a little kid wired on sugar and espresso." Brady's fingers slipped through his hair again, and Schuyler had the sneaking suspicion he was being petted. It was nice. He made a soft noise, opening his eyes he hadn't realized had fallen shut to stare up into Brady's. "It'll be okay, Sky. Promise." The knock at the door prevented Schuyler's reply, and he slowly sat up as Brady went to open the door. Angela and his mom stepped into the room. "It's time to go," Angela said quietly. "Micah and Harvey have admitted to leaving the pups themselves." "Why would they do that?" Schuyler demanded, holding Hansel and Gretel tightly. Angela shook her head. "Attention. They wanted to draw attention to their cause, get people to listen to them. If the spotlight was on them over the kidnapping, then it would definitely be on them at the big rally, and they could use the whole fiasco as a catalyst to push for the change they want." "But the fact a re-socialized lost shifter did the kidnapping?" Schuyler shook his head. "That would have set them back, since the Foundation is one of their big sponsors." Schuyler's mother looked ready to sink her own fangs into somebody as she explained. "One of the biggest changes being pushed for is more mixing of shifters. Right now, we still keep largely to our own groups, coming together only for a specific purpose. That you were re-socialized, though it didn't quite take, would have worked as a starting point to push for intermingling. The argument would have been that had you been socialized by more social creatures instead of more snakes, who generally favor independence and not socializing a great deal, this would not have happened." Brady sneered. "No doubt the mercy they were showing the evil snake who kidnapped their children would have won them a ridiculous number of additional votes. They do realize all this bullshit has probably ruined support for the cause, right? I could kill them myself." "Well, don't," Angela said. "They've been secured and are awaiting transport by authorities. You'll all have to come in and give your own reports. We also need someone to take the pups full-time, since their parents quite obviously are unfit." Schuyler held them close, hating the idea of giving them up. It had only been a day, but he didn't care. They were his. The idea of giving them up made him want to cry. But saying that would be futile. Nobody would let him take in a couple of pups. "I can take them," he said anyway, because he had to try. No one